It's 11:47 at night, you're standing in the kitchen with the fridge door open, and you're staring at your bank app like it's going to confess something. It says $1,842. Payday's in 3 days. You're not broke, but you don't feel safe either. And that's the weird part, right? You can be doing fine and still feel like one surprise bill could flip your mood in 10 seconds. If you've ever thought, why didn't anybody just teach me this? You're in the right place. Look, you're not behind because you didn't get some magical class in high school. Most people never got it. Bunnies mostly learn the hard way, in tiny moments like this, when you're tired and you just want the stress to shut up. Here's the thing. The money rules change depending on your stage. What works when you're scraping doesn't work when you're stabilizing, and what works when you're stable won't build real wealth. That's why random tips feel useless. So we're gonna do money school the way it should have been done. First, you'll get control of cash flow, so your life stops feeling fragile. Then we'll handle debt and protection, so one bad month doesn't wreck you. Finally, we'll build the compounding system that turns ordinary income into actual wealth. Let's make this real with a tiny math moment that changes how you see everything. If you invest $50 a week, that's about $2,600 a year. At a 7% average return for 30 years, that's roughly $245,000 from a single weekly habit that's smaller than most people's treat yourself spending. That's why this isn't about being perfect. It's about setting up a few moves that happen whether you're motivated or not. Motivation's cute, but systems pay bills. I'm Andy, and I'm going to talk to you like you're the only person watching. Because the goal isn't to sound smart. The goal's to make your money life feel calm, predictable, and kind of unfair in your favor. One of the biggest myths is that budgeting is about suffering. Reality, budgeting's just telling your money where to go before it disappears on accident. If you don't decide, your life decides for you, and your life loves subscriptions. So the first thing you needed to learn is the difference between bills, wants, and leaks. Bills keep you alive. Wants make life worth living. Leaks are the sneaky stuff you wouldn't miss if it vanished tomorrow. Another myth. You need a complicated spreadsheet. You need a simple scoreboard you can remember when you're busy, like 3 numbers you can check in under 2 minutes. Your first number is your monthly essentials: rent or mortgage, utilities, basic food, transportation to work, minimum debt payments, and insurance. Not the perfect version, the real version you're actually paying. Your second number is your true free cash flow, which is just income minus essentials. Your third number is your buffer, the gap between I'm fine and I'm panicking. For most people, the first meaningful buffer is $1,000. Not because it's magic, but because it catches the annoying stuff that keeps you stuck. This week, open your banking app and set a $1,000 buffer in checking as your personal "don't cross this line" number. Then automate a small transfer every payday until it's real. Now your brain can stop doing math at midnight. That's the first win, quiet. And once you've got quiet, you can actually make good decisions instead of emotional ones. Let's talk about the mistake that keeps people in a loop for years. They save whatever's left. Whatever's left is usually nothing, because spending expands to match the space you give it. If your paycheck hits on Friday, your savings and investing should move on Friday too, before your weekend mood gets a vote. Even $25 a week is $1,300 a year. That's not life-changing in 1 year, but it's identity-changing, because it proves you're the kind of person who builds. And once you're building, the next rule kicks in. Expensive debt isn't just a bill. It's a wealth tax you agreed to without reading the fine print. Credit cards at 20% APR are basically a treadmill that speeds up every time you blink. If you're carrying a balance, you're trying to run toward a finish line while the belt's moving backward. This is where people get defensive and say, "But I use points." Cool. Points are awesome when you pay in full. If you're paying interest, You're buying airline miles with a loan shark. Now we're in the part of money school that actually changes your future, the order of operations. If you've got high-interest debt, especially anything above 10% to 12%, that's usually the fire. You can't out-invest a guaranteed 20% loss. Paying that off is a risk-free return that doesn't care what the market's doing. If your debt's low interest, like a reasonable fixed-rate student loan or mortgage, the math gets more flexible. That's when you can split your focus between paying it down and investing, because time starts mattering more than intensity. Here's a simple decision tree that doesn't require a finance degree. If the interest rate is brutal, you attack it like it's personal. If it's moderate, you pay it steadily while investing. If it's low, you prioritize investing and keep the debt boring and scheduled. One common mistake here is minimum payment forever, because it feels safer month to month. It's not safer, it's just slower paying with more interest. Another mistake is going full scorched earth and keeping zero cash while you pay debt. Then swiping the card again the second your car battery dies. That's not discipline, that's a trap. The better move is having a small buffer while you pay the debt aggressively. Not a dreamy savings account, just enough to keep you from backsliding. And yeah, debt payoff can feel slow, so let's put numbers to it. If you've got $6,000 on a card at 20% APR and you pay $200 a month, you're basically renting that debt for years. If you bump it to $400 a month, you cut the timeline dramatically and you starve the interest. This is also where your payment strategy matters. Avalanche means you pay minimums on everything, then put extra money toward the highest interest rate first. Snowball means you pay the smallest balance first for momentum. Math likes Avalanche. Humans sometimes need Snowball. Pick the one you'll actually stick with. This week, write down every debt with the balance, the minimum payment, and the interest rate. Then set your auto pay to minimum on all of them and aim every extra dollar at one target you're gonna finish. While you're doing that, don't ignore the protection part of money school, because one bad event can erase years of progress. Protection isn't sexy, but it's the reason wealthy people stay wealthy. If you're driving around uninsured or your health plan has a deductible you can't handle, you're one surprise away from chaos. You don't need to obsess over every policy. You need the basics to not be a financial glasshouse. If you've got a $2,500 deductible, you should eventually have at least $2,500 set aside for that reality. And now for the part everybody wants to skip straight to: investing. Investing isn't a lottery ticket, it's a machine. And the machine works best when you stop touching it. A lot of people think the goal is picking the best stock. That's not the goal. The goal is owning a productive slice of the economy for a long time, while adding money consistently. If you've got access to a workplace plan with a match, that match is a raise you only get if you participate. A 100% match on the first 3% you contribute is literally doubling those dollars. People walk away from that like it's optional. It's not optional if you like money. Then you build consistency, and consistency is where most people lose because it's boring and it doesn't give you a dopamine hit. But boring is the whole point. Boring is what wins. Let's do another quick reality check. If you invest $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. Over 25 years at 7%, you're looking at roughly $380,000 from contributions and growth combined, even if you never become a market genius. If you can invest $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. Now you're in a different life. Not immediately, but inevitably if you keep going. Here's what nobody says out loud: your savings rate matters more than your IQ. A 10% savings rate feels responsible, but it's slow. A 20% savings rate starts changing the timeline. A 25% savings rate is where people quietly become wealthy without doing anything flashy. That's the stage shift. When you're broke, every dollar matters. When you're stable, every percentage matters. And here's the painful truth that saves you. You can't optimize your way out of low income forever. Cutting $40 a month helps, but adding $1,000 a month helps more. So money school has to include earning power, not just frugality. That doesn't mean you need a side hustle that ruins your weekends. It means you need a plan to increase your value in the market over time. If you get a $10,000 raise and you keep your lifestyle the same, that raise can become investing fuel. If you get a $10,000 raise and you upgrade your car and your apartment and your vacations, that raise disappears like it never happened. Lifestyle creep isn't you being weak. It's the default setting of being human. That's why you need rules. A simple rule that works. When your income goes up, automatically send half of the raise to your future. If your take-home pay increases by $400 a month, bump investing by $200 and let your lifestyle enjoy the other $200. That way, you feel progress now, and you still build a future that's way bigger than the present. If you want a clean mental picture, think of your money like an engine. Income is fuel, spending is friction, and investing is horsepower. Most people keep adding fuel but never reduce friction or build horsepower, so they wonder why they're still crawling. Now, a short sentence of realism. Because life's not a spreadsheet. If you're dealing with layoffs, medical bills, or a messy divorce, the timeline changes, but the playbook doesn't. Back to the playbook. The reason investing works is compounding, and compounding is just growth stacking on growth. If you've got $10,000 invested and it grows 7%, that's about $700 in a year. Helpful, but it doesn't feel like magic. If you've got $100,000 invested and it grows 7%, that's about $7,000 in a year. Now it feels like your money's doing something while you're sleeping. If you've got $500,000 invested and it grows 7%, that's about $35,000 in a year. That's when people start saying, wait, this is real. This is why the first chunk is the hardest. Early on, almost all progress comes from you saying no. Later, progress comes from your system saying yes on repeat. So the goal isn't just invest. The goal is keep investing even when the world's loud. Markets drop, headlines scream. Your cousin texts you about some coin that's guaranteed. And this is where your future gets decided. The biggest wealth killer isn't a bad year in the market. It's panic selling in a bad year and locking in the loss. A 10% drop on a $50,000 portfolio is $5,000 on the screen. A 10% drop on a $200,000 portfolio is $20,000. Same percentage, very different emotional punch. Your job is to build your setup so you don't have to rely on courage. That's why you keep an emergency fund. That's why you automate investing. That's why you pick an investment mix you can live with during ugly months. You don't need to predict the next crash. You need to be the kind of person who doesn't react like it's the end of the world. Now let's talk about fees, because fees are a silent tax that compounds against you. A 1% annual fee sounds tiny. It's not tiny over decades. Over 30 years, that 1% can eat a massive chunk of the portfolio you thought was yours. If your investments return 7% and you pay 1%, your net return is closer to 6%. That 1-point difference over 30 years is the difference between comfortable and why did I miss this? This is why low-cost index funds are so popular for long-term investing. Not because they're exciting, but because the math is brutally in their favor. Another common mistake is treating investing like a hobby. Checking daily, switching strategies every month, chasing whatever's up this week. That behavior feels active, but it usually turns into buying high and selling low with extra steps. The better approach is setting a plan you can explain in one breath, then letting time do the heavy lifting. So what's a simple plan? You build your buffer. You kill high-interest debt. You invest automatically into diversified, low-cost funds. You increase contributions as your income rises. You don't interrupt compounding unless it's a true emergency or a life goal you planned for. That's it. That's the class most people never. Now let's make it practical with a scoreboard you can use without thinking. Scoreboard item 1, your buffer. If you're at $0 buffer, your life's on hard mode. If you've got $1,000, you've got breathing room. If you've got 3 to 6 months of essentials, you've got real resilience. Scoreboard item 2, your debt interest rates. Anything around 15% to 25% is an emergency in slow motion. Anything under 6% is usually a pay it steadily and don't panic category. Scoreboard item 3, your savings rate. Under 10% means progress is slow. Around 15% is decent. Around 20% is strong. Around 25% is where your future starts speeding up. Scoreboard item 4, your automation. If your plan depends on you remembering, it's not a plan, it's a wish. This week, log into your retirement plan or brokerage and increase your automatic investing by 1% of your paycheck or by $25 per week, then schedule it to happen the same day you get paid. That one move sounds small. It's not small when it runs for years. Now, let's do a couple of real examples because examples make the fog disappear. Say you make $70,000 a year and after taxes and benefits, you bring home about $4,200 a month. Your essentials are $3,200. That leaves $1,000. If you send $300 to a buffer until you hit 3 months of essentials, and you send $500 toward debt, and you invest $200, you're not doing a little, you're doing the whole game at once, in the right order. Then when the debt's gone, that $500 becomes investing fuel. Now you're investing $700 a month without needing a bigger paycheck. And when you get a raise, half of it goes to investing automatically. Your lifestyle improves, but your future improves faster. Here's another example. Say you're already stable. You've got $10,000 in savings, no credit card debt, and you're investing $600 a month. You feel like you're doing everything right, but it still feels slow. That's where you stop obsessing over tiny spending tweaks and focus on the lever that actually moves the timeline: income growth. If you increase your take-home pay by $800 a month through a new job, a certification, a commission role, or a part-time skill, and you invest half of that, you just added $400 a month to the system. $400 a month is $4,800 a year. Over 20 years at 7%, that's roughly $200,000 of extra future you bought with one career move. That's why money school isn't just saving. It's building a life where your income grows, your spending stays intentional, and your investing happens on rails. Now let's talk about the emotional traps, because money's never just math. Trap 1 is shame. Shame makes you hide from your numbers, and hidden numbers don't get better. Trap 2 is perfection. Perfection makes you restart every month because you think one mistake means you failed. Trap 3 is comparison. Comparison makes you chase someone else's life and accidentally fund it with your own future. Your money plan should fit your real life, not your fantasy life, not your neighbor's life, not a spreadsheet influencer's life. You should still have fun. You should still live. A plan that has zero joy usually snaps and explodes later. The goal's controlled spending, not punishment. So give yourself a fun number that you can spend without guilt. If it's $50 a week, cool. If it's $200 a month, cool. The key is that it's planned, not impulsive. The moment you stop treating every purchase like a moral test, you actually get better at money because you stop rebelling against yourself. Now let's clean up one more thing people get wrong: net worth. Net worth isn't your salary. Net worth is what you own minus what you owe. High income with high spending can equal low net worth. Moderate income with a strong savings rate can equal high net worth. Wealth is built in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. And the best part is, once you build some net worth, it starts helping you build more. A $100,000 portfolio growing at 7% adds about $7,000 a year on average. That's like a small bonus you didn't negotiate for. At $300,000, that's about $21,000. Now, your money's starting to contribute like a side job. At $1 million, 7% is about $70,000 in an average year. That's when people say, "I don't feel trapped anymore." That doesn't mean every year is 7%. Some years are ugly, some years are great. The average is what matters if you stay invested, and staying invested is why your buffer and your psychology matters so much. If you've ever wondered why some people seem lucky with money, it's usually not luck. It's that they built a setup that keeps working even when they're tired, distracted, or stressed. They automated. They avoided high-interest debt. They kept fees low. They kept increasing contributions. They didn't interrupt compounding. That's the whole secret, and it's kinda annoying because it's not exciting. But if you want exciting, go to Vegas. If you want freedom, go to boring. If you've gotten value out of this and you want more straight-to-the-point money lessons, subscribe. Now let's land this with a simple mental checklist you can run anytime you feel lost. Are my essentials covered without stress? If not, fix cash flow before you chase returns. Do I have any debt that's charging me double-digit interest? If yes, that's the emergency. Do I have a buffer that keeps me from going back into debt? If not, that's the next target. Am I investing automatically into diversified, low-cost options? If not, set it up and stop waiting for the right time. Am I increasing contributions when income rises? If not, lifestyle creep's about to steal your future. That checklist isn't trendy, it works. And if you're sitting there thinking, "Okay, Andy, but I've already messed up," good. That means you're normal. You don't need a clean past. You need a clean next year. 1 year of consistent, boring money moves can undo a shocking amount of damage. Pay off a card, build a buffer, start investing. Get the match, increase your income, repeat. That's the education. The last thing money school should have taught you is this: confidence comes from evidence. You don't feel financially secure first. You build a few months of proof, and then your nervous system finally believes you. You don't feel like an investor first. You invest consistently, and then you become one. You don't feel wealthy first. You stack net worth, and then one day you realize your money problems are mostly optional. So if you're starting from messy, that's fine. If you're starting late, that's fine. If you're tired, that's fine. Pick the next right move and make it automatic. A year from now, you'll be glad you didn't wait for motivation to show up. Keep it simple, keep it consistent, and keep your lifestyle one step behind your income. That's how you win, without needing to be special. You've got this, and you don't have to do it perfectly, you just have to keep doing it. Subscribe for the next lesson.